Hey everyone, and welcome! I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer. If you're running or managing a growing digital agency, you know firsthand that the absolute lifeblood of your business is your internal process. Whether it's meticulously written down in some pristine manual or just, informally understood by your team, the quality of your process completely dictates your consistency, your efficiency, and ultimately whether your clients are happy. But here's the universal struggle of agency growth. You know your processes need improvement, but you simply do not have the time or the infrastructure to fix them while simultaneously drowning in active client delivery. So today, we're going to explore how partnering with a dedicated white label WordPress developer, specifically looking at the gold standard set by teams like Viral Chili, actually transforms your internal processes right from the inside out.
But before we get to the solution, let's face a pretty harsh reality. 52%. That is the staggering percentage of agency projects that run over budget. And here's the kicker. It's not primarily due to unexpected client changes or the classic client asking to make the logo bigger. It's actually because of inaccurate initial scoping. That 52% represents evaporated profit margins and seriously stressed out teams. It's a huge number, and it immediately validates those pain points you might be feeling every single day.
Okay, let's dive into this because this question gets to the very heart of the whole issue. Are you building an agency or just building websites? When your team is constantly stuck in the weeds, just scrambling to meet deadlines, you are essentially just building websites. Process improvement requires either an abundance of free time or an injection of external structure, two things that growing agencies desperately lack. You obviously can't just hit pause on your revenue stream to redesign your internal workflows from scratch. You literally have to rebuild the plane while you're flying it. So how do we fix these bottlenecks across the chronological lifecycle of a project? Well, here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll redefine the invisible agency infrastructure. Then we'll look at fixing scoping and kickoffs. Third, we'll hit non-negotiable QA. Fourth, perfecting handoffs. And finally, the compounding domino effect. All right, kicking things off with part 1, the invisible agency infrastructure, or rebuilding the plane while you're flying it. Because as we just discussed, process improvement absolutely needs external structure if you don't have the time to do it yourself. And I want you to completely rethink this term. Usually, people view white labeling as just some outsourced capacity tool for busy weeks, but the reality, and what really sets partners like Viral Chili apart, is that it serves as an external structural partner. By injecting them into your workflow, you inherently adopt their process discipline. You're elevating your own standards without requiring your internal team to reinvent the wheel. It literally acts as an invisible infrastructure supporting your entire operation. When you work with a top-tier delivery partner like Viral Chili, they already operate with a highly refined, battle-tested structure. The real magic happens when you let their process become your baseline. Suddenly, you have this much more structured operation producing vastly better outcomes. And you achieve all of this with significantly less internal coordination overhead. Basically, you are borrowing their operational maturity.
Which brings us right to the very beginning of any project. Section 2, fixing scoping and kickoffs to start strong and protect your margins.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast. On one side, we have the current state for so many agencies where estimates are, let's be honest, essentially just educated guesses. If your internal team is full of generalists, or if the team scoping the project isn't the team actually developing it, you are going to miss hidden technical dependencies. And that leads directly to that 52% failure rate we saw a minute ago. Conversely, the white label standard, like the one utilized by Viral Chili, relies on deep, specialized platform experience up front. These partners provide technical input before the project even begins, making your scope definitions completely accurate. You commit to fewer margin-damaging surprises, and you win work at a price that actually reflects the true cost of delivery.
And that flows right into client onboarding. You probably know the feeling of disorganized kickoffs all too well. Mid-project friction, where you have to keep going back to the client because expectations are totally misaligned. But because a partner like Viral Chili requires a crystal clear, structured brief to do their job effectively, it naturally forces your agency to level up your own onboarding process. You gather all the necessary information up front, meaning your projects run smoothly right from day one.
Moving into the middle phase of the project lifecycle, we hit Section 3, non-negotiable QA standards and delivering true reliability.
This is the exact moment where things usually start to break down under pressure. When deadlines tighten up, QA is almost always the first thing cut. It gets treated as this optional final step. It gets compressed or skipped entirely, and that is exactly where visible, embarrassing post-launch problems are born. But the crucial shift here is treating QA as a non-negotiable workflow stage. A partner like Viral Chili bakes this in entirely independent of deadline panic. It happens every single time, absolutely without fail.
And we're not just talking about a quick glance over the homepage to see if the logo loads. Essential QA checkpoints have to include rigorous cross-browser testing, mobile performance validation, comprehensive accessibility checks, and deep functionality verification. When this level of QA becomes a consistently applied process rather than just a panicked afterthought, your post-launch issues plummet. Your agency rapidly develops a stellar reputation for delivering sites that just flawlessly work from the minute they go live.
And that brings us to an incredibly overlooked phase. Section 4, perfecting handoffs and maintenance to really cement those client relationships.
Busy agencies are always rushing to the next job, and that usually results in an abrupt end where clients are just tossed the keys with zero documentation. They are frustrated, they're confused. But with a Viral Chili standard of thorough handoff documentation, things like site architecture details, plugin configurations, CMS guidance, and technical notes, you totally eliminate that frustration. You give the client genuine confidence and make your agency look like rock stars. It creates a rock-solid foundation for future referrals.
And those positive handoffs naturally lead right into ongoing maintenance. Now, most agencies kind of treat this as an informal chore. But when you partner with a white-label developer like Viral Chili, maintenance becomes a highly structured, formal process executed entirely under your brand name. Security gets scheduled updates, plugins receive proactive management, performance is continuously monitored, data backups are actively verified. Instead of just an occasional, annoying task, maintenance transforms into predictable, highly profitable monthly recurring revenue. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean. A true professional maintenance process breaks down into 4 equal elements: a defined scope, consistent scheduling, clear accountability, and structured reporting. When you deliver this meticulously, ensuring every single client receives the same rigorous checks and branded reports on a reliable schedule, you stop being just a vendor they hired once. You become the indispensable, ongoing partner they completely rely on. All right, let's bring all of these pieces together in our final section. Section 5, the compounding domino effect and building agency muscle over time. Because these process improvements absolutely do not happen in a vacuum. They form a chronological chain reaction. Accurate scoping naturally leads to reliable onboarding, which sets the stage for stringent QA. That ensures smooth handoffs and ultimately locks in structured maintenance. Fixing the front end of your delivery process literally cascades all the way to the finish line. Let's move to and see how this builds. Notice how the momentum just compounds. Better, more accurate scoping up front means there are way fewer broken dependencies, which requires less reactive QA later. Stronger QA produces a much smoother launch, creating a totally delighted client who is primed for a successful long-term maintenance contract. Each individual phase strengthens the next one. When you use white label development not just for extra capacity, but as a core process strengthening tool, you extract massive compounding value over time.
I really want to anchor everything we've talked about today with this fantastic quote from our source material: "Process quality is the invisible infrastructure that determines whether an agency can deliver consistently at scale." By leveraging a partner like Viral Chili to raise the bar across your internal operations, you are making the most direct, compounding improvements possible for your business.
So I want to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought to chew on. Take a hard look at your own operations. Is your delivery model getting stronger, more refined, and more profitable with every single project? Or are you just exhausting yourself trying to maintain the status quo? Embracing external structure might just be the exact key you need to building the agency you originally set out to create. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you leave today ready to elevate your process.